Hey, my name is Tashira. I'm 25 years old, and this is my multiple sclerosis journey. Hey, y'all. In my last video, I got all emotional and stuff, but I talked about the things that led up to my diagnosis, and I also gave you all some symptoms that I was currently experiencing dealing with MS. I'm not going to be emotional this time. I'm just going to be really informative and try to get you all to understand things that I may have talked about in the last video. In this video, you're going to get MS defined, and I'm going to take you on a doctor visit. I chose to do this so people can get a better idea of what multiple sclerosis is. And instead of me telling you, my doctor's going to tell you. So let me give you a little backstory to why I even went to the doctor. My most recent infusion and a few of my MRIs were at the end of June. Usually after my infusion, I feel great. And I'm like, I can go live now, but that wasn't the case this time. It wasn't. I don't know. Which is why I made the doctor's appointment, because everything was a little more complicated than usual. And because I had gotten the MRIs and everything, I knew my doctor would have the results and she would be able to tell me if I was progressing or if I was regressing. At this appointment, you will see my actual MRI images, and she will define multiple sclerosis. And I don't know, we'll just kind of talk and give y'all some information for those who don't know, or those who need to know, or those who want to know. What is multiple sclerosis?
So multiple sclerosis, or MS as it's called, is an autoimmune disease. So that means it's your immune system attacking itself. And it specifically attacks the central nervous system. So that's the brain and the spinal cord.
Okay.
So like we were talking about, the brain and the spinal cord control everything. And that's why I always tell students no two patients with MS are alike, because it depends on where the MS has attacked. Okay. So where in the brain will determine what kind of symptoms people have.
I know there are different types of MS. What kind do I have?
So you have relapsing remitting. That's the most common type. Now a lot of people will say it's a relapsing form of MS, because there are a lot of different kinds of relapsing MS. But that is when you'll get a symptom, and then often it'll get better. So it'll go away for a while. And especially if MS isn't treated at all. So you take a medicine to slow it down, a disease-modifying therapy. But if you weren't on medicine, then a couple months later, a year later, you'll get another symptom. Mm-hmm. And that'll last for a while and then go away. So that's part of what makes it hard to diagnose MS, is because a lot of normal people expect symptoms to go away. And by the time you make an appointment with your doctor, you're like, well, that's better, so why would I even worry? So oftentimes early on in the disease, we'll see that, where people will have symptoms and they come and go, and then in between you feel fine. That's the remission.
Okay.
Doesn't mean you don't have it still.
Yeah, it just comes and goes.
Right.
Okay.
So when we think of cancer being in remission, it means cancer is gone. Mm-hmm. With MS, with relapsing remitting disease, it's kind of a bad name for it, because the MS isn't gone, the symptoms are just gone.
And there is no cure.
Right. So we take medicine all the time, either every day or once a month or every other day or every 6 months, to slow the progression, but it doesn't mean that it's not there. Okay, so all of this stuff, even this bright way down here, is the contrast dye.
Okay.
So when they put that IV in your arm,
makes me throw up.
It does make some people feel nauseous, but it also fills up all the blood vessels in your brain. Okay. So you see all that around the outside. So that's normal. That would happen in my brain, anybody's. Yes. All right. But what it does for the MS is, if there was something active going on really in the month or so before this, so in the last couple weeks, we would see it bright. So the only place we see this contrast dye in your brain is around the outside edges, which is where it's supposed to be in these blood vessels.
Okay.
So just looking at this picture alone, that's part of why symptomatically I know that most of the stuff you've been dealing with isn't a result of like a relapse or a new lesion, because nothing shows up bright on this MRI. Everything in here looks dark.
So bright would be new stuff, which is bad.
Right. That would mean that the medicine you were taking wasn't working if there were these bright spots, because there would be new lesions going on, or the old ones reactivated. So when the radiologist looked at this and compared it to your old one, none of them were new, but you can see how there's like a little white spot here. As we go up a little bit, see how there's bright spots here in the corners? And these ones weren't things that were visible before, but now on this picture you can see all of them just because it's a different MRI. So there's all of these places that are white. So even though the MS isn't active now, that's why I say like all the old stuff isn't necessarily going to go away, because the MS is still there. So there may be times when you're more tired, there may be times when you have pain, there may be times when you have the walking trouble, because there's old spots that are still there.
Okay.
So the Ocrevus, we don't have a MS medicine right now that will make these spots go away. The Ocrevus won't make these spots go away. So I don't expect every time you get treated, you're going to suddenly feel better or never have another symptom, because it's there. You have all this old damage.
Okay.
The goal of the medicine is just to keep you from having any new spots and make sure you don't start getting new lesions or new symptoms.
Okay.
So old things that come and go, that's okay, as long as the medicines make it feel better. New symptoms that you never ever had before would not be okay. So anything new or different we want to know about. Even old stuff, if it was significantly worse than what it had been before, we still want to know about. So it's always better to ask.
Okay.
So problem with the arm might come from the brain, but it could also come from the neck. It's not going to come like from your thoracic spine and your belly, because your arm is higher than that.
Yeah. Okay.
Problem with the leg could be almost anywhere in the spinal cord or brain, but often is spinal cord. So we know in here, when you ask how do I know it's not different or changing, it's because I have old MRIs to compare it to.
Okay.
So when we see a little spot, I can look at your old one and see the same spot.
Gotcha.
So we go through and we look at each lesion and look at the old MRI and make sure that it's not growing or changing or expanding or shrinking in any kind of way. They compare it.
They grow?
They can. So a new spot really is no different than an enlarging spot. If the lesion got bigger, that would be a sign medicine was not doing what it was supposed to do.
Okay.
So some people will have development of lots of different lesions, and other people will have one spot that kind of expands or gets bigger in that area. You don't have either of those. So that's how we know the medicine is doing what it's supposed to. You have no new lesions, but the old lesions are also not getting any bigger.
Okay. So I would like to thank my doctor for doing this. She knows about my YouTube, and she knows that I'm gonna post this video, but I just wanted to thank her for doing this. I will not mention her name because that wasn't a part of the deal, but thank you to those who are watching. Thank you to everybody supporting, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.